Hello, I'm Jamie England, and for this presentation I chose to highlight the social entrepreneur Veronica Scott. I'll begin by introducing Veronica Scott and speaking to the moment that changed everything for her, ultimately leading to her founding a nonprofit organization. While studying industrial design in Detroit, in one of Veronica's classes, she was tasked with a project to develop a product that would give something back to the community. She struggled to imagine something truly beneficial that was also achievable and would also make a real difference. One thing she kept noticing around her was people experiencing homelessness. She wondered if there was any way her school project and skill set could help them. And when exploring this topic, Veronica discovered the magnitude of unhoused population compared to available shelter resources. This area of support was deeply personal for Veronica, as Veronica's parents also struggled with homelessness and addiction, and at times she too had been raised in a shelter. Veronica had the idea to create a coat that could turn into a sleeping bag at night. And this idea eventually came to life and went on to form the nonprofit organization, the Empowerment Plan. The Empowerment Plan was founded in 2012 by Veronica Scott after realizing that her school project had turned into something bigger. She wanted to be accountable to those she had been helping and speaking with during her project even further. The Empowerment Plan is a nonprofit organization that primarily hires employees who are experiencing homelessness. Veronica Scott demonstrates the characteristics of a social entrepreneur because she developed a product that creates social value, which is the coat, which further fuels an organization that develops, or I guess that also has become a service to help individuals out of homelessness. Veronica's aha moment actually came when after she had designed and sold the coat. One day she was showing the coat to a woman who was experiencing homelessness, and instead of saying thank you, the woman said, "I don't need another coat. I need a job." And that was the aha moment that changed everything. Instead of solving community need through charity or donation, Veronica decided to solve it through employment. And this was the beginning of the Empowerment Plan. This next section will highlight the mission and model of the Empowerment Plan. The mission of an organization states the purpose of the organization or what the society is trying to solve. The model speaks to how the society or organization plans to solve it. The short-term and immediate mission was to provide warmth and shelter by supplying coats that convert into sleeping bags at night that could also withstand strong weather like those like Detroit would experience. Not only did this facilitate accessibility to warmth for the unhoused and the health and well-being to those who were unable to get into a shelter to escape the weather, It also had secondary effects, such as reduced pressures on shelters and healthcare services, because many people would get frostbite or use the emergency room to gain shelter. After Veronica's aha moment, her focus expanded to target cyclic poverty or generational poverty. And the long-term mission was to help people find a way out of homelessness through offering employment and stability. Veronica mindfully selected employees that directly impacted the future of families, such as single mothers. Ultimately, the empowerment plan was intended and designed to break the cycle of generational poverty. The mission not only addressed the symptom or a symptom of homelessness, which was the lack of shelter and providing a product that could become a shelter, it also addressed the root cause of homelessness, which in most cases, or a lot of cases, were unstable employment and lack of support. This approach sort of ran at the problem of homelessness at both sides. The business model is a nonprofit organization that is funded primarily through donors, state funding, grants, and also merchandise sales, primarily through the sale of the coat. The empowerment plan hires staff who are experiencing homelessness to make the coats, and the coats are distributed and sold worldwide. The empowerment plan is a registered nonprofit organization, and a nonprofit organization differs in many ways compared to a traditional business. I've highlighted some of the more obvious or primary differences on this slide. So a nonprofit organization could be a charity, but typically the goal is to provide social value. Often a nonprofit will rely on donations or grants or fundraising. And the success of a nonprofit is measured by the social impact. Comparatively, a traditional business, their primary goal is typically to earn profits. They do this usually by selling products or services, and their success is measured usually by profits. And of course, the registration, legal structure, government operating requirements also differ. There are accountability differences, different standards that need to be met, and taxation differences. Now let's go over theory and impact. When evaluating social entrepreneurs, I primarily used Dee's framework. This slide shows the 5 primary concepts of Dee's framework. The first framework is the social entrepreneur adopts a mission to create social value. Veronica's mission is to break the cycle of homelessness by providing stable employment while meeting the immediate needs of people experiencing homelessness by way of providing the coat. The second framework is the social entrepreneur recognizes and pursues new opportunities. After receiving feedback that people needed or need jobs more than a donated coat, Veronica expanded the organization from product design to creating a workforce development program. The third component of Dee's framework is the social entrepreneur engages in continuous innovation, adaptation, and learning. The empowerment plan and Veronica continue to refine its model by combining manufacturing, support services, and new employees. And the fourth framework is the entrepreneur acts boldly without being limited by available resources. Veronica founded the empowerment plan as a college student with limited resources. And from that, she built partnerships, secured funding, and grew the organization despite significant financial and other constraints. And the last framework is the social entrepreneur exhibits accountability to the community served. The organization measures success through employee outcomes, housing stability, and the number of coats distributed, which demonstrates accountability to both employees and communities. So evidence of impact can be found on the organization's website as well as in their annual reports. They have a recent one, a 2025 to 2026 annual report. In these resources, you can find that the organization has hired over 150 employees. That's 150 jobs that were created. Each employee typically spends 2 years working for the empowerment plan before they can find independence. Over 85,000 coats have been distributed worldwide. The jobs created by the organization have impacted over 450 children, and 100% of employees maintain stable housing post-graduation from working with the empowerment plan. Like any organization, the empowerment plan faces challenges and criticism and requires continual or frequent self or inward reflection. While the empowerment plan has achieved significant success, operating a social enterprise and nonprofit comes with several unique challenges. Funding is often one of the primary challenges of a nonprofit organization. The empowerment plan is heavily dependent on grants, donations, partnerships, and other sources to explain or to sustain its operations and social programs. Growth is also a challenge. The manufacturing of coats requires space, equipment, and other resources. At the same time, expanding the organization's workforce requires additional training, supervision, and support services, which all of those are very resource intensive. And the manufacturing capacity is limited by the number or the size of the staff. Each staff member can only create so many coats And hiring a new staff member will require more resources. So just because they might have a big order doesn't mean that they would necessarily be able to fulfill it. So it makes it challenging if the organization wants to fulfill maybe higher orders, but also they need to balance their production with their commitment to staff development, I guess. So staff limitations, employing individuals experiencing homelessness, again, require additional supports such as job training, counseling, and housing assistance, which is very challenging and unique to each individual, which takes a lot of thought and consideration. Oddly enough, criticism is the trigger that launched the organization to become the empowerment plan. It was that aha moment when the woman said to Veronica that she didn't need a coat, she needed a job. There are lots of other criticisms. So unemployment is not the only factor that causes homelessness. So, there could be limited effectiveness in actually solving the idea of homelessness because it's more complex than simply being employed. The coat design could be replicated, which could result in a lower need for production and therefore needing less employees. And to sort of counteract that, the empowerment plan obtained a design patent, so the coat cannot be replicated by other organizations or businesses. Unstable funding, like other nonprofits, 50% of like other nonprofits, a lot of their funding is not earned. According to the 2025 annual report, 50% of the empowerment plan's funding is not earned. It's instead achieved through donation or grants. Their financial report also indicates they lost funding partners and delayed government funding. After that, they did acknowledge it, and through self-reflection and company or organization reflection, they changed their investment strategy, which seems to be effective. As the empowerment plan continues to reach more people as it grows, or 60% of their employees so 100% of the staff who leave the empowerment plan never fall into they don't fall back into homelessness. So the service that they're providing, that is being provided, and the resources going into individuals is extremely effective. Some of the ways that they balance this is about 60% of their employees' workday is work, and the other 30% is soft skill development, which could include getting their GED and developing other life skills like time management or resume development. And individuals are often with them for about 2 years until they are stable enough to become financially and self-sufficient. the success rate of the empowerment plan has been so impressive that other cities wanted to scale it. And as a founder, Veronica is continually reviewing and evolving to find out the best way to provide people with the skill set to be successful. They haven't just created a program that is a checklist. Everyone who is now a staff member, goes through section A, B, C, D. That's not the process. Instead, each individual is given their own plan that's tailored to their strengths, their weaknesses, their interests, their goals, their family situation. So it's not incredibly straightforward when the empowerment plan hires on a new staff member. A lot of effort is put into each staff member, and sometimes it's not finding one program about, say, finances. It's finding the best program that'll teach finances. So that's part of their continual reviewing and evolving process to find out the best way to provide people with skills. In fact, the empowerment plan, they have a specific budget line for just dedicated for their staff, just to try different techniques that could either improve the coat production or employee investment techniques. So having that organizational freedom to try new ideas, and it be okay that they end up not being the best idea, or they could become a better idea, but the organization dedicates specific resources to exploring that. And I think that shows real commitment to trying to make their business more effective in creating social value than others. The organization has grown from just Veronica developing a coat in one of her classes in college to, as mentioned, selling coats internationally, and also to large organizations such as the Red Cross and Goodwill. And I would say that the outlook for the empowerment plan is looking to continue upwards. Thank you, and that is my presentation on Veronica Scott as a social entrepreneur. Following this slide are my top resources that I used for information for this presentation.